The venture to the cabin in the woods seemed like a dream escape from the chaos of city life. As my friends and I arrived, the air was thick with the scent of pine needles and damp earth, a sweet reminder of the wilderness that surrounded us. Our host, a wiry man with an empty gaze, welcomed us with a smile that never quite reached his eyes, setting off subtle alarm bells in my mind. The cabin itself appeared charming at first glance, its weathered exterior blending seamlessly with the natural beauty of the forest. But as we settled in, an unsettling feeling began to creep over us, like shadows stretching across the forest floor at dusk. There was something off about the way our host moved through the cabin, his footsteps too light, his words too carefully chosen. It wasn't long before we stumbled upon the locked attic door, tucked away in a corner of the cabin's upper floor. A strange, rancid odor seeped through the cracks in the wood, sending a shiver down my spine. Despite our host prohibiting us from entering the attic, we were too curious to uncover the source of the smell. We set to work, prying the lock off the attic door with a rusted crowbar we found in the shed. As the door swung open, a wave of putrid air washed over us, thick and suffocating. The darkness beyond seemed to swallow the feeble light from our flashlights, concealing whatever horrors lay hidden within. With hesitant steps, we ascended into the attic, the floorboards groaning beneath our weight. The air was thick with dust and decay, the smell overpowering as we ventured further into the darkness. And then, in the dim glow of our flashlights, we saw them, the bodies of the assumed cabin's previous residents, lying in a dark corner of the cabin. The sight was enough to turn our stomachs, vomit rising in our throats as we struggled to comprehend the horror before us. Their faces were twisted in silent agony, eyes staring blankly into the abyss, their bodies mere husks of the lives they once led. The stench of death hung heavy in the air. As panic settled within us, we knew we had to act fast. With trembling hands, we fumbled for our phones, fingers shaking as we dialed 911. The sound of sirens echoed through the forest, a beacon of hope in the darkness as we awaited the arrival of the police. But as we waited, a sense of dread washed over me, a creeping realization that our host was nowhere to be found. His absence spoke volumes, confirming our suspicions that he was somehow involved in the horrors that had unfolded within the cabin. With each passing moment, the forest seemed to close in around us, the trees whispering secrets that sent shivers down my spine. And then, just as despair threatened to consume us, the sound of approaching footsteps shattered the silence. The police had arrived, their presence a welcome relief in the midst of chaos. With a sense of urgency, we led them to the attic, the smell of death hanging heavy in the air as we recounted the horrors we had witnessed. As the authorities combed through the cabin for evidence, our host emerged from the shadows, his eyes burning with a madness that sent a chill down my spine. In that moment, we realized the extent of his depravity, the lengths to which he would go to conceal the truth. But it was too late for him. The authorities had seen through his lies, unraveling the web of lies he had spun. As he was led away in handcuffs, his protests faded into the night, swallowed by the darkness that had claimed him. As we watched the cabin disappear into the distance, I couldn't help but wonder what other horrors lay hidden within its walls, waiting to be unearthed by unsuspecting travelers. The memory of that fateful trip would haunt me for years to come, a reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of our reality.